Your audio's off.
Rob, we can't hear you.
Hello, Ed.
Hey,
Welcome back
hey.
to Escape the Union.
Fix that in
Did
post.
you turn that mute button off? No, we don't fix anything in post. It just happens. Hi, how is everyone?
Good.
Yeah,
Standing somehow.
Also, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's pretty
Escape
much
the
how I
Union is the epitome of fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yeah, right, exactly, 100%. All right, and you know what we didn't do yet? We didn't determine who's doing a recap.
We
yeah,
did
we did.
actually.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
You're right.
Who is doing a recap?
I'm doing the recap.
Oh, excellent. Okay, well then, Yara, can you
Sweet
please
summer
give
child.
us a recap of what happened last time we played?
All right. Welcome back to Tyler's completely correct statements of what happened last time.
Absolutely.
Buckle
So,
in.
last time, we were chilling at $5 or what do we call it? I don't know. We were chilling at a coffee place.
Right. Cat Cafe.
We were hanging out. We completely ignored the fact that we just discovered we all had wish coins because we got too much going on, guys. We have,
Just didn't process that.
yeah, we'll process that later when we have time.
That's
Okay,
future
never.
us's problem.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, any 5 people in any group would have simply vanished from where they are as they all cast their wish at once.
Thought about it, decided not to.
Right.
So as we're sitting around, Yara goes up to go get another drink, and she's like, "Oh, I don't have any gold, but here I have this plant that it means a little bit to me, but you can have it in trade." And the lady's just like, "So I'll give you everything for that." And Yara's just like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
nice of you. Thanks. Bye."
Those
And then
plants
she
from
goes-
a world that are not mine. Yes, I will indeed be interested in those. Also, by the way, you just did the worst invasive species thing anyone has ever done, ever. You literally
Weren't they
transported
dried?
plants.
Don't
What?
don't think I didn't think about the biosecurity issues.
They were seeds, right? They were seeds. It doesn't matter. Aren't all seeds like kind of dry? Am I wrong?
I thought they were dried petals.
They were dried
Oh, I
petals. Yeah, they were
suppose.
flowers.
They couldn't, yeah, so it couldn't actually make it again. Still, they're a reagent from a world that she didn't have. So yeah, she would have given you anything. Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
But you didn't win the world, so well done. Good job.
This time,
Yeah.
Yes.
I've already done that. I can't do it twice, can I?
Mhm.
Can I, audience?
I think you can. I think you could be in a ever-repeating
believe.
loop of ruining the world, frankly.
So after that, we were all hanging out. There were some conversations. Yara wasn't paying attention. Doesn't matter. Rewatch the episode.
Fair.
And then, so Oikos is around. Oikos is back, guys, and he's my friend. He's actually my familiar. And so I was showing off my stuff, and Oikos was like, "Oh, that's a nice bow, but it's not special." And I'm just like, "Oh, it's special, all right." And she shot an Eldritch Blast through it, because that's how I cast Eldritch Blast with this character, at a
Right.
bank. At a bank, guys.
Did shoot at a bank. I totally forgot about that. Yes, you did.
I mean,
That was the
and-
bullshit I added. Right.
Admittedly, as far as buildings to shoot at goes and deal property damage to, bank's not a bad choice. But
Right.
Well, like, I mean, in
'Cause they
terms
have
of our
money?
welfare, it was a really bad choice.
Yeah. I mean, as far as shooting at a building, bad choice. As far as like a building that I suppose could pay to replace the wall, yes, fine.
So after that, everyone was freaking out. Yara's like, "Why? This stuff happens all the time where I'm from." But it turns out it doesn't happen in Nani.
Right.
Bring that back.
Wait.
No
Was
one-
it Notney? I thought it was Notney.
No, everyone else says Notney, and
Right.
then some people who shall remain nameless, who are apparently weebs, want to say Nani. We're just
We're
not
wrong.
gonna-
Fair. Okay.
Who are wrong.
Right.
this is weeb oppression.
I agree. So as we all rushed back inside, we all found a cat room, which was really hard to leave, but we had to because the law was after us, and we are now felons
Right.
in this universe, but soon to be all universes. Really.
Yeah, is that a problem? Like, if you
Oh,
were-
man, you
I
know
mean-
what we are? We're just the
Right.
Guardians of the Galaxy, except rather than going through space, we're going through space
Yeah.
and time.
Right, rather than helping, right? So-
What a
Then,
bunch of a-holes.
then we checked out the book again,
right.
and we were like, "Oh man, we really need to go to the forest." And so we decided, well, it worked last time. Why don't we just jump into a book?
Yeah.
Which,
As you
frankly,
do.
I thought in the moment it seemed a little ridiculous, but looking back, it makes perfect sense that that'd be the natural reaction of
Yeah,
people.
I mean, up to with what's happened so far, it just kind of like line up. So why not? Yeah, jump into a book and see where you end up. Plus, you knew where you were going. Like, it had 2 pages listed. One page was you could go to this place called the Spear of Jarden at the ass end of the world, or you could go to the forest you were from. That seems like an easy call. Yeah. All right.
Creepy Woods, fairy tale path. Like,
Exactly.
Creepy Woods, and
It's
so
a
we
pretty good
hopped
call.
in, and we landed on a mountain, and Yara immediately knew where she was at, and she was actually kind of freaked out. But these people were just like, oh, we're cold, we want a fire. And then I said, you can have the fire for a little while, but then we have to go. And they're like, no, we want to sleep here. And I'm just like, we will die if we sleep here.
That's super not what anybody said, but yeah. Okay.
This is my recap. I decide what happened.
We
that time.
explicitly said that we could not sleep there.
Right. Right. But
And
in the
then-
story where Yara saved you all, continue, please.
And then she forced everyone to get up. She extinguished the campfire she made for everyone.
That's right.
And then they went down to the forest. And after a little while, she's like, I could just go home, but these guys want to go to this town. And I don't like that town. And so she was like, these guys will die. I can't let them die. So I guess I'll go with them.
Noble of you. Yeah.
Yes, how caring and kind.
Hmm.
And as we were going to the town, we ran into an old acquaintance of Yara's
Yes.
named
Yes.
Sebu, and 2 of his.
Well, acquaintance is
Warrior
kind of
friends.
harsh. He's your cousin. I mean, I suppose you could call him acquaintance. You know, my
Audience,
acquaintance.
this is news to me that he's my cousin. So
What do you mean? You had the whole conversation about how, like, you were part of the family. Did we not? Am I imagining this, or do we have the?
No, I
we had
remember
a
this.
What?
I remember
No.
this.
I
No,
thought we
that
had
didn't
this
come out.
conversation.
I thought it was like a metaphorical family, like we of the woods.
No, they're elves. They live 1,000 years. They're all in the same forest. Of course, they're related to each other. They have a kid every 200 years. They're
thought
definitely
it was
related
like-
to each other.
They all come from a similar tree.
Okay.
I
in
thought
that,
it was
in
like
that
calling
regard,
someone bro.
No. These
okay,
people,
in that
yes,
regard,
kind
yes.
of. With elves, I agree. But they actually are cousins, yeah.
But you have said in your canon that like they track the trees and like which sprout falls
Yeah.
to which tree. So when you say cousin, like did he?
No,
Am I,
you're
like-
from your own tree, which
Yes,
is interesting.
exactly.
Like, you don't fall from the same tree as the rest of your cousins, but yet they know you're their cousin because when they had you, they basically went and laid down in front of the tree, right? And they laid down night after night after night. And there wasn't an answer. There was never a child born. And then one day there was this like light, this little glow in this dark, cold forest. And they followed and eventually found this tree with this glow about it from all these little motes that were just kind of sprinkling off in the night. And they laid there, and that's when they were given a child. Totally different tree, totally different part of the forest, and no one ever has since.
So this is news to me, audience.
I don't think you'd have been told. I would imagine they didn't tell you.
I don't think so.
I
Yeah,
would imagine
probably.
that as you were growing up, they were like, we have to have some semblance of normalcy. They knew from the beginning, especially with you, that that something was, not 100% normal. And I think that they just did it to try and give you a sense of normalcy. Your mom was very protective. She was weirdly open and protective at the same time. But anyways, we're kind of going off.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So after that, we learned that the entire 100-mile section of her home was burnt to the ground.
Burnt to the ground
A year
again,
ago.
a bit. It was more exploded and then burnt.
It's more like a smoking crater
right.
in the ground.
Was Yara's tree in there?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Hers and
Yara's
many
dead.
others. Yeah.
Yara in this reality is dead.
Yeah.
And Sebu told us that. And then Yara went to go cry privately up in a
Fair.
tree.
Yeah.
And then Amity hit a tree just for no
Yeah.
reason
I mean,
whatsoever.
it's not every day that you die.
Yeah,
So yeah, a couple tears seem fair.
get
Sure.
high enough and get high enough level, and that might not be the case anymore.
That's true. Yes. Yeah, and then
So-
Amity did punch a tree, right? Isn't that what
Yeah,
happened?
so they talked
Usually
to Sebu
most stories
and
end
the
with
clan.
Amity punching something. That seems about right.
They were talking, and she just got so frustrated. She just turned around, hit the biggest ironwood tree that she could find, and it turned out to be the king of the treants.
That's right. That's right. Did no damage whatsoever, but yes, she did indeed punch that
I mean,
tree.
probably did to me.
Oh yeah, we randomly found Sealbeard.
I mean, have you ever been around Ironwood before? Like, would you know what it was before you hit it? Because if not, you just hit
For
steel.
a second, I thought you were asking me, Orla, and I was like, no, Aram, I've never been around the tree you
You didn't know
invented."
Ironwood exists in real life?
That would be
Whole
pretty
ships
dope,
are built
actually.
from it.
No, why would Amity? Amity's never left on E. Why would she
Yeah,
ever?
then
assume
you
that?
punched steel when you thought you were going to punch bark. So that probably did sting a little bit, actually. Yeah.
Also, hi, I'm Tyler. I play Yara, the demigod of stewardship.
We should probably do that. Yes. Okay, so let's start with the upper left. Amity, please introduce yourself.
I am Orla. My pronouns are she, her, and I play Amity, the demigod of both the upper left and the radical left.
Yes, you do. And Ashrin.
Hi, my name is Mary. My pronouns are she or they, and I play Ashton, the demigod of strands.
Excellent. And Magnuson.
Hello, my name is Chris. My pronoun is he, him, and I play Magnuson, the demigod of. Oh, look, I have donuts.
It's a good demigod. Although it's neat that it's not like the demigod of donuts. It's a demigod of being surprised that you picked up donuts, which is a very specific demigod, but I like it. I like it a lot.
But he gets many sudden surges of divinity
Right,
throughout the day.
exactly. And I'm going to jump down to Yara.
Hi, I'm Tyler. My pronouns are he, him. I play Yara, the demigod of stewardship. Her pronouns are she, they.
Excellent. And last but not least, Diamond.
Hi, I'm James. My pronouns are he, him, and I play Diamond, the demigod of trash. Though I personally am the demigod of getting a boost of energy every time I take a sip of coffee because I need it.
Also, a very specific divinity, but
There's a lot of worship at that house right now, Diamond. There's a whole bunch of it.
I am energized by the coffee houses of the world.
And we are currently in the force of... Oh, it flipped my camera. Again,
Oh,
one
you're
second.
fine.
Now I just have to flip it back over because otherwise it's me backwards. And I'm telling you, trying to do a puppet when you're backwards is really, really hard. It's so hard. There we go. All right, good.
Gotta have it
So-
right for your Oinkers puppet.
So we are in the forest of Ani. It is cold. It is colder than it should be. The winter has retreated down from the world. It's just a colder world in general. You have been marched through the forest until you came up against Steelbeard, this towering 30-foot tall king of the Ironwood Atreans, just this ancient creature. And even though he's so large and clearly imposing, and there's like this wisdom in his eyes, there's these hollow sockets that are filled with star moths, and he just leans down with this smile and this friendliness and this warmth that makes you feel instantly at ease around him. Obviously, Yara, you've heard of Steelbeard before. Would you ever have met him?
I have met him twice in my life,
Okay.
and both of them I was not supposed to be there.
Okay, how did that happen?
So the first time, she was probably about 20. And so her mom was hanging around her. Her mom hadn't been home for like 2 weeks.
When you
and
say
she
20, how old would that be for you in like elf years? Because like we need like a translation.
5 or 6.
Okay, because it's very different from meeting like hey, what's up, Steelbeard? You know, it'd be a different
Yeah.
meeting the first time.
Yeah,
All
so
right,
the equivalent of 5 or
Yeah,
6.
like a big
Her mom hadn't been
toddler.
around for like, it'd be like the first time her mom was gone for a very long time. And so it'd been like 2 weeks since she saw her mom. And so she's back and she's all happy. And she's like, Mom, I haven't eaten in like 2 days. I'm so hungry. And she's like, get your own food. No. But
She's a mom. Yeah.
so she followed her mother. She had this meeting that she had to go to. Like, I think Yara was probably supposed to be asleep, but I also think like this is probably around the time that she learned how to wild shape. So she followed her mother, and
God, what a nightmare! You're trying to keep your kid in a goddamn in their damn room, and they're turning into foxes and bats and shit. That would be
Exactly.
so hard.
exactly. And so she's like this little cute fox as she's going down the forest, and she goes into this clearing, and like, so it's her mother having a meeting / like negotiations with the king of the Treants about
Sure,
something.
as your mom
And she-
would. Yep.
Yeah, and so like, king of the Treants thought I was some kind of spy and got pretty pissed at my mom, and then my mom was like, no, like, and then so Yara turned back into herself, and oh, it's a little young one. Oh, hello, little young one. What are you doing here up so
Yep.
late?
And Steelbeard loves kids, so 100% on board. Like the meeting kind of fell apart. Your mom was a little pissed because she had the upper hand, and then all of a sudden it just devolved into, well, hello, right? And playing with you. And so the second time, did you spy again as well?
No, the second time actually we were. I was with Ineas, my best friend / bear,
Yes.
and we were way too far away from where we should have been.
Sure.
And so we went into a part of the forest we'd never been in before, and we kind of just accidentally ran into him. Ineas, literally, Yara, not so.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. And a Steelbeard would be just as charmed by Ineas as he would by you. Probably stop what he's doing.
It was
and
bear
play.
cub Ineas too. So
Right. Yeah. That's going to be sold. I'm sold on a bear cub Ineas. That's going to happen every single time. It was like a hello and little scratchy branch fingers. Totally. 100%. All right.
Yeah,
So you guys are friends, I would say.
Friendly.
Okay. So then he would be punched by tiny. I mean, Amity must be so small to him, just like a little
Yeah.
teeny
And
Amity.
canonically drunk.
Right, exactly.
Oh, that's right. You're
exactly.
still
I
completely
drank
full of alcohol.
so much
That's right.
before
2
we
bottles
jumped
of
in the
whiskey.
book.
That's right. I
Drank
forgot
2
about
bottles
that.
of whiskey before
Yeah.
we ran from the
You
bank.
are so drunk and fighty right now. That's just all you
And
are.
jet lagged, right? And jet lagged from being in the.
drunk, just pissed.
All right. So I would say that that Steelberg kind of leans down and then leans down some more and then leans down some more until he can get a really good look at you and like and you're just like clocking him in the face. You're like pushing and like he doesn't care. He doesn't do
I
any.
think the second he starts talking, I'm just like, I kind of like touch his face,
It's real. Yes.
and I'm like,
I'm here. Yes.
I need to lie down. Is that all right?
Oh,
Will
and
you
he
just
makes a
smush
little-
me like a bug if I lie down in the ground?
He makes a little blanket, right, out of leaves that he weaves out of his hand, and he just tucks it underneath you and gently places you off on like a warm rock where you'll be nice and
Yeah.
safe.
Aw.
How it is? It's like, I'm gonna lie, guys. Give me a shout if anybody else tries to kill us. Cool.
And then he just turns to the rest of you, and his face falls, and he just drops down to his knees, and he gets real close to Yar. Like he moves in a very
Sorry,
untree-like way.
Yara's not quite there. She's actually off in the forest right now.
Oh,
Remember,
what was-
end of the session, I said she.
Oh, yeah.
right.
She went
right,
off
right,
to-
right.
Cry.
Right, and so turns and then looks at all of you, and then looks at Sebu and back at all of you, and then back at Sebu and says, "Well, they're very charming, but they should not be here." It's like, I know they shouldn't be here. They just showed up. I'm handling it. It's like, all right, fine, Sebu, but do you need assist? No, I'm fine. He's all right, and he turns to the rest of you and just kind of shrugs like kids, and then goes wandering out into the forest again. Boom, 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 and he's gone.
And Diamond just like looks at that and then looks back. It's just like, I'm not sure what I expected to see coming through the book to get here, but a large talking tree person was not one of them. Though it is very exciting.
So everybody else saw that, right?
Oh yes, that is real.
Cool. Well, that real is relative, but okay, good.
At the very least, it is a group hallucination.
I mean, if you all experience it, does it matter if it's real?
Let's not go into that much philosophy right now, because I feel like that's a plot point that's going to come up later.
Let's talk about solipsis.
All right, so you are all there with Sebu. Sebu rounds around
Ontology.
angrily as he does everything and sees that Yara is not there and just like takes a deep breath. He's got a mixture of feelings right now. Very happy to see her, right? He's not a monster. He's happy to see his cousin, but he's also instantly reminded how annoying she is. And he just
Like every family get together.
exactly. And he can't even shout. He just pulls out an arrow and fires it into the air. And it changes color into this bright red smoke as it goes up. And Yara, as soon as you see that, you know what that means. It means that Sebu is pissed. And he wants you to come here.
Okay, so when I only moved like 60 feet away from the group, by the way, so like I'm not that far, but I went up and I started climbing a tree,
Right.
and I kind of
He
looked
probably
out.
could have found you. He didn't even bother to look. He's just
Yeah.
mad.
you know, I'm right here. No.
Sure.
But as she's looking out, she's kind of just like seeing. I know it's dark out, but she can probably see kind of far out.
Yeah, you're an elf. You got dark vision.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so I want to read a poem that I found that just perfectly emphasizes every point I want to make.
Okay.
This is "Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep" by Mary Elizabeth Fryer. Fry. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am a thousand winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. And the reason I wanted to read that is because in the very first episode, Yara whispered into the wind and it went back to her mother. I feel like that probably happened in all realities.
Sure.
And in this moment, like right before the arrow is tossed, she hears that poem in her mind through the wind. And
Absolutely.
It is like her mother's final words to her. Like, and I don't know how she would know it's her mother. I don't know how her mother would know she would ever hear this, but like there's just
Your mother
this...
had a favorite bird. Must be some bird, some interesting, probably not like a really spectacularly colored bird, right? Like a little average sparrow, just a simple little bird, but it sang a song that she loved. And as you're reciting that poem, you can hear that song being sung by all the sparrows in the forest.
And in that moment, she just knows, like, all this time, she's kind of figured, like, okay, we're in the future. I can wrap my head around this. And then it's like other realities. Okay, I don't really understand. But in this moment, Yara is just kind of realizing that she's still in the Union. She knows this. Like, she wouldn't be here if she wasn't. And it kind of clicks in her mind of, this isn't real. Her mom's still safe. And this is a possibility. Her mom always talks about the possibilities of life. And it's all kind of in that moment of just like all the dots connecting. And she's still crying because she's still sad because she knows that if this is still a possibility, like all those souls gone, all those trees, all those elves, all those people gone. But she kind of remembers that vision she had with all of her friends. Episode 3 or 4? Episode 3.
One of the two, yeah.
Yeah. And she just kind of like takes some from her, wipes some tears away, and it's already turned to ice on her skin. That's how cold it is. Yeah. And she just kind of hops down, climbs down, then hops down. Not going to take any fall damage. And as she walks back, you can tell she's been crying quite a bit. But she just kind of gives Sebu a big hug that she didn't give back to him in return.
Sure.
And she says, I'm sorry, I didn't know what to do.
And he seems a little startled, right? And like you just kind of walk up and hug him. His arms are kind of like at his side for a second like this, and he hugs you back, and he's like, it's fine. Like, I'm happy you're here. I don't understand how, but I am happy you are here.
She just kind of wipes whatever tears were on him, because not in like a I'm insulting you, but just like that's how close her face is to him right now.
No, I mean, like, you guys are family. Like, again, he's not a monster. Like he's one of those guys who cares about the people he cares about and the things he has to do and nothing else. But you're in that circle, so yes. You are okay, right? Yeah, exactly. And the other elves that are with him are whispering to each other and looking at you. And you hear the word in Elven, treeless.
Can I hear what they're saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you can speak Elven, you can hear what they're saying. Elves are just assumed that any non-elves can't understand them, so they just talk openly because they're dicks, right? So that's what they're doing right now. Yeah. I mean, they are clearly saying the word treeless. Movie, yeah. Every Elven movie ever. They're all dicks. Yeah. They just are. They're just like, I mean, who wouldn't be? You live for 1,000 years. You look at everyone else. You're like, am I supposed to take them seriously? They live for 100 years and they mature at 30. How would I take them seriously? Yeah. So sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say at this point, like she would say, "Do you have a coat for me?
Oh,
Can
yeah,
I borrow
totally.
a coat?"
Yeah,
So
they have.
she wraps herself around a coat and kind of like joins everyone at the fire. And I kind of picture like Sebu's gonna sit down. And I know like earlier they said that they kind of tried to explain everything, but Yara just says, "Sebu, I'm a demigod."
And he looks at her, and he reaches into his pocket. He's got like these little pouches along, and he fumbles through and fumbles through, and he pulls out this old ring, and it's got a godstone set right in the middle. And he holds it up to you, and sure as soon as it came out of his thing, it was already glowing a bit. And he holds it up, and it glows, and he turns to the rest of you, and it glows just as brightly. And he nods, and he puts it in his pocket, and it's goes like a.
Amity's just waving from lying down, like.
Yep. That's one too, huh? Mm. Of course you are.
That would be all of us.
We aren't technically here. That's Diamond. She can tell you better than I can. But
Oh, hello.
And looks at you and seems surprised that you are speaking, but is listening.
Diamond like looks at you and is like, would you like me to explain it all for him, or?
Sure.
Everyone here can speak common, right?
Everyone here can speak common. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can we find some shelter to do this in, please? It's cold.
You know what? It is cold. The campfire is warming, but yeah, it is still pretty cold, and they don't have
the man in the
cloaks for
tin
everyone.
can.
Yeah.
It's cold.
Well,
And Amity's so drunk
no.
she doesn't know she's freezing to death, but
I'm
she's
used to cold, but not this cold.
Right.
Like, this is-
Okay. So I assume you're all moving then to keep warm.
Yeah.
All right. So you're moving
Thank you.
and walking. Does Diamond explain everything?
Diamond, basically, as we start to walk, wanting to make sure that these people are on the page for not everything, because there's some stuff that that she feels like that the group as a consensus should come to, but
Right.
she gives her the basics where she's like, so when Gara says we are not here, it is both true and not true at the same time. Obviously, we are here. You can interact with us, but we are not at the same time. We are
That
from
does not help.
I am getting to the point. Okay. We are from a different version of the world as you know it. From where we are from, it is still almost 200 years? No, this is different.
125.
It is different here, though. Things went differently. They said that this other sun god came, and all the gods are not dead here. Not like where we were before.
And as you're speaking, you're all starting to climb upwards. And this slope, Yara, doesn't make any sense to you. It wouldn't have been here. This would have been level ground where you were from.
Mm-hmm.
Keep talking. He literally says that. He literally looks at you and says, keep talking.
We are from a point in probably your past. I don't know exactly when things have happened differently here. But from where we were, we have been sent into the Union. And in there we have to go through a gauntlet of challenges in order to come at the other end and be allowed to exist. Inside the Union, we pass through something. We don't know what exactly. But it has been able to show us other possibilities. We pass through into a different version of the world, maybe 125 to 200 years in the future, when all of the old gods, I say old, but all of the gods as we knew them had died.
And he's listening, and the other elves are listening, and he's kind of fallen quiet as he is. Like some things seem to be registering with him.
And then there were new ones.
And then there were new ones. And while we were there, we did certain things, and we were able to find a way forward to here. And as we are here, I don't know where in between where we know we were and where that place would be, this would be, but things are different here. As you said, you had a different god of the sun come through. They killed Rappel and Mordecai. That is different from what we know. That has not happened in our world, and that had not happened in the other world we had gone to. This is a new one, a different
3.
path.
I think this is number 3.
Number
Does
3.
your union stand?
We're
Yes.
still in it.
We are technically.
To our knowledge, we're still in it.
One moment. Diamond actually is going to stop. She's going to like lean down and like put her hands like down into the snow to like find the ground.
Okay, yeah, you have to like dig for a bit, but yeah, it's,
yeah,
it's
dig it out of the
there.
way. Then
Yeah.
like put a hand there. She tried to do it on E, but there's just so much going on there. But since there's not as much rush here, she's gonna try and see if she can connect to the Union to see
Sure.
if
This is a different world, so I would like you to roll your divinity. And we'll have a roll for the first. It's 41 minutes in, and we're rolling some dice. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So divinity. Okay. That is my.
We're just going to rename it to Bullshit Story Time with a... Hey, how
Nice.
about
That's
that?
24 total. Okay.
Nothing ever happens when we roll divinity.
Right, exactly. I know, you guys are good. Everyone else fucks it up, but you guys, you got that nailed.
Oh, gee.
We're the trailblazers.
Yeah.
So, Diamond, you know how how trees have a network between them? I believe it's called a mycelial network. Is that correct, Amity?
Yes. Yeah. Fungus.
I'm sorry,
Fungus
is that-
grows.
Well, fungus does, but yes, some trees do as well, like us.
Yes.
Well,
Sorry,
the trees
I was
can get
actually
looped
asking
in.
Orla there. Was not. I'm very, very sorry. I'm going to stop calling you by your characters. I promise.
Because Amity would not know. She doesn't know shit about trees.
Right, exactly. But they're all linked kind of to each other, right? Like when we see mushrooms, we're just seeing the tops of a gigantic network that exchanges nutrients and information with trees and connects trees to each other. When you touch the ground, that seeps out and wraps around your hand, and you are instantly connected to this world. It feels very similar to the others, but there is a wound. Where the Union should be is a gaping wound in space and time and reality.
Okay. Yeah, so I think like Diamond, has a hand pressed there, and I guess the other thing to ask is like, does it still feel like we're in the Union despite that wound there, or is it like you feel like not anymore?
It's very difficult to tell. At this point, it feels like overlapping energies. Like above this one is another union, and above that is another union, and above that is another union, and then beneath you are more. And it's difficult to tell what is your union and what isn't at this point.
Can I try to make
It's
something appear in my hand?
You're
Like,
drunk
just
enough that you
something
think that this will work.
Something
Ano-
small,
Like a
Another
walking
bottle
stick.
of whiskey.
Walking
She's
stick.
drunk.
something
She
small
won't
like
know
a like
Give
just
it a
like
shot. I would
one of
like
the posts that appeared other places.
one of
or-
the posts.
You know the way you kept manifesting posts coming
Right.
up from the ground, wooden
Right, right.
posts.
Oh,
Yeah,
like
alright.
the tome in the centaur chords.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. You think this will work. I would like you to roll your divinity with disadvantage.
Well, now that's just unkind.
You're drunk.
I am.
All ability
That's
checks
true.
are drunk.
Well, I mean, we can make
I'm-
you undrunk.
It's
I'm
true.
pretty drunk.
That'd be so mean.
But you'd
feel
have
like
to know what I was planning on doing.
Oh.
Well,
Oh no!
Oh. Okay, what were you trying to do?
She rolled
Like a
one for
post
podcast
to
listeners.
Was make something was your first words, correct?
But then I said a post.
Sure. You do. So you reach out your hand, and there is a rumble. Everyone is now can feel like an earthquake happening as rocks are
Uh-oh.
tumbling down this hill that you've been walking up, and a tree uproots, and in front of you, this massive spike of wood erupts from the ground 10 feet wide, towering into the sky in front of you, and then just stops, sways there slowly.
Oops.
Yeah.
But question answered.
Yeah, Diamond stands up and says, "Yes, I was
Not gonna
about
do
to
it again.
mention-
Not gonna do it again. Not gonna do it
I
again.
would recommend not doing that. So yes,
No.
we are still in the Union, but things are very strange here. There is
Sebu
No,
and his
that one-
elves are on alert. They've got crossbows and
Sorry.
bows out. They're pointing
That was dumb.
everywhere. And Sebu has stepped in front of Yara. So as soon as danger happened, Sebu actually put himself between Yara and whatever the hell was happening.
Has anyone got any water? I really need to walk this off.
Sebu
I'm
angrily
gonna,
hands you a flask.
Thank you. Sorry, that was dumb.
You're angrily welcome.
I'm gonna just reach out and touch Amity on the shoulder. Be like, now is not the time.
As soon as you make a connection with Amity, it's like it just disappears into nothing. Like wind hits it and erases reality.
The post?
Yes.
Post.
Okay.
Were you gonna cure poison?
Yeah, I'm gonna spend 5 points of lay on hands and cure that drunkenness. Because it's a poison.
I would like, for the record, to point out that when I got this is actually Amity the moment she sobers up. Okay, I'd like to point out that when I ordered the whiskey, we were gonna stay overnight in the cat lady's place.
It's true.
And it wasn't me that blew up the bank.
No, I would have gotten drunk with cats too. No, that was a really good move until you attacked a bank. Yes.
So,
I did not for once attack the bank.
so
Yes.
Diamond, has like, hands up because, crossbows and stuff like that. But she
Well, it's not towards us, is it?
What's
I was
towards you?
assuming it was a little bit
no,
towards
they didn't,
Amity.
No, they didn't point the arrows at you. They pointed the arrows away from you, like they were protecting the group. I mean, you're their responsibility now. They don't know what's happening. They didn't know it was you, and now that you even are like implying that it was you, they don't understand how it could have been. So it's not really
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Diamond, waits for things to like settle a bit, and she says, "Stop. First and foremost, our ability to connect with the Union and have it manifest things, I would recommend we not do that here. This
No.
place is not good for that."
Yeah. I can I scienced it, and I agree with Diamond.
Way to science.
Diamond sort of like looks around for a moment, like thinking. She says, "This place is very hurt. Their union is gone, and there is a wound in the world that makes it strange. I don't think trying to use the union's power here will be smart for us or good for the world." As it, she gestures to like where the post came up.
Yeah.
Maybe in limited ways, or if we're very smart about it. But I think we should be careful if we do try to do anything, at least for the time being, so we know more.
I've been wanting to ask, could Yara feel that wound as well? Like, just naturally?
Now that
Or-
I mean, something was
now
off
that-
the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Like even at this distance, and you guys are far away from where the Union would be, there was something off. And now that it's being explained to you in words, you can feel that. Like there's almost like a drain. So where the Union would be, all this life, all this energy, all of this divinity and magic is just draining into this sucking wound.
Yeah. Yara turns to Sebu and says, well, first she asks, where are you taking us? Because that's always a smart question. She assumes she knows the answer, but...
To show you what you are questioning. And he steps forward and like pushes this bramble to the aside and steadies himself on a tree as light breaks through the canopy, and you are on the edge of a gaping crater, and at the center of it is just this smoldering green fire that doesn't make any sense, and this sickening smoke that seems to be billowing up from it. And surrounding the crater outwards are all these stone elves, locked in fear and terror as they're trying to run from the center, all turned to stone, dozens and dozens of them around the edges.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
The elves whose trees were destroyed.
This is what happened to us. To you, Yara, and your family.
She asked Sebu a question she hasn't been wanting to ask, but it's been the first question since she saw him. Did I come back from the Union?
Well, you never went. There were supposed to be others. There was supposed to be a grand ceremony and a grand opening. And they were going to take demigods from all over the world and place them together to challenge each other and truly decide who got their divinity or whatever. Fortunately, it did not go well. There was a great explosion felt all over Calgon. And ever since then, the world has grown colder.
Amity's trying to grab Diamond's arm and is like, fuck.
Yeah, Diamond like leans in close and she's like, why are we fucking?
Just
Sorry.
I don't regret what I said.
This is what I regret not
Amity
giving
just goes-
experience points, so I can't deduct them. But
We're all children,
yeah,
both in
Diamond.
the game and literally.
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
fair. I'm 44
Diamond.
years old, and I laughed harder than anyone, so it's fair.
Focus.
She gives you a look and she's focused.
There's every time we jump, something's changed, but it's always about us.
So you think
The difference between the last world and this one is that in the last world we saved Para.
and in this world
We didn't, and he fucked everything. And in this world, we never even went to the Union, and so therefore we were never
Wait.
in the Union in order to have gone through the thing and save Paris so that he could. You know what I mean?
Could we find ourselves?
Technically, we could.
Oh no, I don't
Whoa.
want
I mean,
have
that is a
a
suggestion.
question.
I'm just-
Find yourselves. Look for yourselves in the Force. Nothing will go wrong. Nothing at all.
No,
already
halflings
thinking
don't
about
live
that in
that
character.
long. If I'm
Right.
Well, here's
well,
the thing.
demigods do. Shit.
Well, the
okay.
humans don't live that long either, but demigods can.
But,
Exactly.
but demigods can.
Yep, there's all sorts of ways to remove yourselves from time now.
Ram, I have a question.
Mhm.
When we first looked at the book,
Yes.
when Caitlin gave it to me,
Yes.
that was before we had successfully saved Tara, right?
Correct.
Was it snowing when we first looked at the
It
book?
was not.
Hi.
The butterfly effect. Oh no.
As you're all pondering that, there's a crack and a break and a crumble that catches your eye, and 3 arrows go off from different sides of the crater almost all at once, all bright red. And Sebu and his team turn to see one of these elves crack and break, and the stone crumbles and breaks with them, but doesn't fall. It moves around their skin like flesh as it all cracks and crumbles until they're this broken facade, and their eyes begin to glow with this deep, sickening green. And Sebu looks and lowers his head and just looks more defeated and sad than you've ever seen him in his life, and then brings it up with an arrow. It is always sad when we must dispatch one. And they all let loose at once and strike this creature in the chest. And you see the light fade and it just crumble to dust.
Okay.
what was that? What?
They stay stone sometimes for years before they come back. We try every day to bring them back. New potions, new magics, new spells, new rituals. We have hope. But all have ended up like this.
Wrong. I want to do something I haven't done so far yet, but we've established
I was
that
just
can
about to
do
say
it.
this. I was just about to say I want to do something that has been done before either.
Okay, let's
We've
start
established
with,
that I can do this
let's
in the
start with
past.
Diamond. Okay.
Yeah, so we've established I can do this in the past. If I look out at the Crater of the Elves, and I look at them there, do they register to me as trash or potential?
That's interesting. All of them, potential. You can see it glowing within all of them. Every single one of them was robbed of potential.
Oh, this is okay.
Hmm. But they still have potential to be something else.
All of them.
Right? Like,
all
they're
of
not-
them. You can see their hearts beating. You can see their minds yearning. You can see their souls aching for escape. Every last one of them.
Did you say that they're aching for a second chance?
I think that's a fair statement.
Yeah, I think Diamond, as she's like standing there for a moment, there's a moment where like her eyes are like really wide as she looks out, and then she looks over to Sebu and she says, "I realize that this is a painful thing for you, but there is still hope. They are not. Your struggle is not pointless. There is still potential in them to be something. They yearn to be something still."
Sebu just
They,
glares at you. Of course they do. Lecture me on the lives of elves, and just kind of like, throws his shoulder off and puts distance. He is not being friends with you. It is not happening.
Diamond nods, it's
Right.
like, it's fine. Like,
No.
he's not the first person to be an asshole.
She goes after
Hang it, motherfucker. Try harder.
she goes after Sebu and she says, No, I know. She's kind of like looking between the two, and she's out of character. If we were to combine trash, redistribution, and redemption, we could probably fix this.
I was thinking the same thing.
Maybe.
Because these people were once nothing, were once something, now they are nothing. But by redistributing that nothing into something, we can redeem them.
Do you want to try?
If you can redeem them, we also have redemption.
That's true.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I mean, it sounds like something you might all have to try. Redemption certainly plays a part in this, and strands can bind you all together.
And stewardship can bring them back to life.
Do you want
Or
to
bring them back to their former selves.
It would take all of you. And even then, might not be enough, but it would at least take all of you.
I mean, we could try.
We've been joking
Sure
about
glad
this
I'm
for a
not drunk
while.
anymore.
All right.
We've been trying this for a while, guys.
If there's any indication from you that you plan to do something, Sebu would take a step back, and he would have his bow is loaded, like he's ready to shoot one of you if he has to. But at this point, he's willing to try anything. So are you all going to form a bridge between all of you and try and reverse reality?
Okay.
I don't think it's reversing. I think it's fixing or
that's fine too.
Restoring.
Sure.
Well,
Patching
Yara would
over,
think that.
Sewing, mending a hole in, whatever you want to call it. You're going to try and fuck with reality, yes?
Reality is going to fight back, and this is going to be
Reality's going to fight back.
Here's what I would like to do. Sorry, go ahead, please.
So Yara says all of that in character somehow.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yara, I am willing to try this because this is important to you. This is your home. This is your family, and I'm not going to stop this from happening. I'm not going to be the one that says no. Someone has to say out loud, and I'm going to say it out loud that, I mean, I know I was drunk, but our relationship with our powers and our relationship with what the Union gave us, clearly a little weird here. This is a weird place. This reality we've come into is the weirdest we've got to yet. And it's going to be the most unpredictable. And I just need us to be prepared for that. And if there's anything we can do, anything smart we can do right now before we do this to make ourselves less vulnerable, maybe let's think about that. I don't know, but if any of you do.
I can do something. So Ashton will take out a piece of ribbon and sever it into 5 different pieces and go ahead and tie one onto each of your hands, and at the same time cast Bardic Inspiration on all 4 of you.
Oh,
using it on all of us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's cool.
That
lasts for an hour, right?
Times.
So you guys have it for a while.
We had it for
10
about
minutes.
10 minutes.
Nice.
Long enough.
Right
anyway.
before.
We're in narrative play anyway.
If you can't get the bridge done in 10 minutes, it's over anyway. So that probably works for the best.
Least of our problems.
All right.
I will say, as we're like coming together, Diamond is quiet for a moment, and she says, "Remember when we were talking to Tyr under the tree back in Oni? He said that we might, in doing what we're doing, we have the chance to help others, and in helping others, we might be able to help ourselves. I think going to places like this and doing things like this might be part of why we're here, in addition to trying to get out of the Union. I think if we can help these other realities, try and help them become better places, fix the wrongs that. And she like looks down towards the crater and thinks of what happened to Para, what you described happening to him, and says, "If you can fix the wrongs that others are committing, I think this is a good thing."
Yep.
Excellent.
When will we know we've done enough?
When it works.
When they let us out.
I think.
Do we even know that they're still watching anymore?
At this point, Yara thinks about that really hard. And so she's going to give a soft, quick prayer to her divine daddy,
Or DD.
her Didi.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to say, just, my mom's gone, and apparently I have you. So just tell me you're still there. She doesn't know who. She actually has no idea who her divine daddy is. So,
Sure.
uh,
I would say that the same little sparrow from earlier, one of those little brown sparrows your mom likes so much, just alights on your shoulder, tweets twice in your ear, and then flies away. And we're going to hold right there to go to a break and be right back and find out just how much you all have screwed up or done wonderfully. Could be either one. We'll find out
Hey.
soon. See everyone in roughly 10 minutes.
okay.
Oh boy.
Oh, man.
Ah.
This is scary. But so
You're right, that was dumb.
That can only go terribly. Terribly,
We're
Chris.
in the right hole. Quick
Hello,
now.
everyone, and welcome
everyone.
back to Escape the Union. My name is Aram. I am the DM for the evening. My pronouns are he and him, and we're going to jump right back into it. Before we left, our players were deciding to just to save the world by, I believe, all combining your divinities at once. Correct?
Yes.
I
exactly
feel
are
it's
you doing
unfair
this?
for you to continue to say that it in that tone of voice.
I know what you're talking about. I would like you to tell me how you're going about this very good plan.
We're
I
gonna
think-
hold hands and use the power of friendship to fix the
Yes!
world,
That's all I
Aram.
need
What
to
do you
hear.
want
Yep.
from me?
You win, it's done. The world's fixed. Good job. Of course. No.
Captain Planet.
We're going to hold hands and
Yeah.
just think good thoughts. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, and try
No.
to bridge.
Who's leading?
We're gonna channel the different
You?
divinities of trash, retribution, and redemption.
Right?
And Ashrin and Yara are going to support that, and we're
Mhm.
going to focus the energy on these stone elves.
Maybe one at a time. Like, let's just try one to start with.
So,
Well,
think of
okay.
it. Well, think of the bridge this way, right? Either it's all happy fun time for everyone and everyone gets a boost, right? Or one of you provides a battery for the rest of you and you all get a
Oh.
little bit more of a boost, or all of you funnel your energy into one of you. And
I think
that
we should all-
becomes a very powerful force of
All
energy. It's
into
the most
Mags
risky.
and Mags.
Battery.
And
Yep.
Mags lays on hands one of the elves.
Yeah, I think
Ooh.
I
it's
only
all-
have 20 points left. I don't know what
No,
it's
no,
gonna
no,
do.
no.
Just use 5. It
It's-
here's a
Yeah.
condition, and it's magic divine version
What
of
you-
it.
Also, we're going to be pumping you. We're doing the version where we're pumping you up, so you're effectively above your level, like in terms of how you're
it
doing
only
stuff.
cures poison. So unless this is
Hold on,
poison,
hold on,
I
buddy,
don't think
hold
it
on.
is.
What? You're a redemption paladin,
Mechanically,
right?
mechanically,
Uh-huh.
yes, it works that way. But remember,
Okay, just
True.
up
you're
past
more than just the mechanics.
to greater restoration.
Yeah, that's basically what's going to be happening. It's going to allow you to upcast greater restoration if you pull this off. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, sure.
We're all gonna bump into you. You're gonna paladin the shit.
Yep.
okay,
That's exactly
all
what's
right.
going to happen.
Let's. All right. Fuck it.
And-
We're doing it live.
Yep.
Out
Do
of
it online.
curiosity,
Come on.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering: are we just doing this for one, or are we doing it
Let's
for
maybe
like an
start
area?
with one. Let's start with one. Make sure that
Let's see what the dice say. Is
Let's
the best
see
way
what
to put that.
happens.
Okay. So
If we all get
Let's
natural 20s, they're all
start.
fixed forever.
that's
Let's
yeah, exactly.
start
So
with getting the bridge formed
exactly.
before anything else.
Yes, let's
Exactly.
do that.
So I assume like Magnuson's in the front and you're all kind of behind with like maybe an arm
Like-
on his shoulder, or in
Yeah,
Yanni's case,
And holding hands and clutching, like we're all kind of
Right.
grouped together behind him, a little V,
you
like we're the Mighty
literally
Ducks.
got his back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
and Yara's going to turn to Sebu and say, "Don't worry, nothing bad has ever happened when we do this."
Cebu, the slightest nod, and has not released his arrow. He is just waiting to have to kill one of you, basically. But okay, like, sure,
Oh.
whatever.
Magnuson, this may help, and Ashrin will cast Prestidigitation to warm you up a bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, that works.
All right. Here's what I would like then. If you guys are going to do this, the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to have to roll to make the bridge. So the 4 of you who aren't Magnuson are going to roll your divinities to try and form the bridge.
And we can add that Bardic Inspiration die, correct?
You want to 100%
If you need it.
get-
If you want to.
Okay.
Or save it for another roll.
I mean-
Divinity.
Oh, more important than this?
Should we go ahead?
Yeah, I'm gonna use the Bardic. It's a D6, correct?
It is a D6.
A D8.
D8, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
D8.
I lied. It is a D8.
I am gonna roll that D8.
I'm gonna spend one of my inspiration points that I've been holding on to re-roll that.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've got up
I
to
got a-
18 now.
All right.
I got a 15.
Okay.
Oh,
Gotta spend that inspiration.
Yes, you are.
Because I really fucking need it.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
if I got
Totals.
it right,
Yeah.
there is an 18,
Yes.
Yep, 18
a
is me.
24, a
Me.
15, and a 14.
Yep.
Okay. That is enough.
We're all
energy.
connected.
Flood, like you all like, we're doing this, right? Yes, and
Oh
then
my
whoop, like your hands were magnetized to his back. This energy is flowing out of you, and Magnuson, you get nailed by this flood of energy, and I need you to roll your divinity to keep it under control.
Oh
Give
my
me
god.
Max.
Plus,
+4.
So 13.
Can I gift him my inspiration?
you can. If you, yes, you
Okay,
absolutely can.
I will take
Well,
away
he
my
also
inspiration
has it-
and then
And
He
Yeah,
then
doesn't
but-
use his bardic inspiration either.
I
that's
have not
true.
used bardic inspiration yet.
You can still choose
So
to
it's
give
a
it to him
13.
regardless.
but regular inspiration you could try to roll above a 9 and then still add bardic.
True.
He should just use the bardic. Just use
Oh,
the
that's a lot better. That's a lot better.
I think I'm not even gonna bother with the
Stay
bardic
with
inspiration,
that.
and that
Yeah,
is
just
just
hold
a
on to that.
dirty 20. That is a
Yep.
dirty 20.
That you feel this energy explode through you. You can solve anything. You can right any wrong. You can fix anything.
I think in his head he wants to go big, but I think in reality he needs to start small.
As you think I could go big, the rest of you, the ground is trembling. Trees are re-knitting into healthier trees. The ground is thawing. The snow is evaporating.
Okay.
Just with that thought. And it pulses out and then comes back like with a breath.
I think in his mind he's gonna kind of reach his hand out to the crater, and he's gonna find the first elf he can see, and he just looks at them and says, kind of in his head, "This is not your end, not yet." And he's gonna think about how they would have been if they were alive.
You step forward and everyone's hands just separate, but you're still touching him because these strands of energy are now all flowing from all of you and swirling around Magnuson as he steps into this crater and walks towards this first elf. And you can just see them in front of you. You can see their eyes pleading as your hand reaches out, and you're just swirling in this golden energy. What do you do?
I think I'm gonna press my hand to the top of the head.
The
And close-
moment you touch her, the moment you step forward, you can just see this energy explode out and then fire all across the crater. Strands of energy are now weaving into every single statue that rings all of the crater. Even a mile away at the very opposite edge, you can see this glow and these stars emerge out. And you all take a collective breath as the stone shatters and falls away, and they all collapse to their knees. And then the strands dig into the earth, and there's a rumble and a roar as they all burst back up and form one tree after the next. And you can see that life energy flowing from those elves that were just reborn back into their tree as they all come together at once. And then there's just a sigh that seems to spread out over the entire forest as you all take a deep breath and fall to your knees.
Huh.
Yeah.
I just look
Yeah.
up at the new reborn earth around me. At the people
snow is
gasping
gone.
for air. The people gasping for air for the first time in what seems like a lifetime.
They are stunned and seem like they all seem very dehydrated and exhausted, and big elves are now pouring into the forest. All the watch commands that were there, alarms are going up, arrows are going up everywhere of every possible color as help is pouring in. Treants are reaching in and just scooping them up and laying them down, and everything seems to be coming now to help.
Do I still have that overwhelming kind of feeling of everyone's power still together, or has that faded?
It fades. So as like basically all that energy flowed through you and then was given to everything around you.
Okay.
Amity would like to turn to Sebu and say, is there any... Do you have something stronger to drink?
Sebu is just staring, hasn't said a word, is still holding his bow half cocked in his hands, and tears are just rolling down his cheeks, and his mouth is moving, but he's not making any words. Autumnmeal's right there next to him. They're just all staring for a moment, and then they break, and he looks at you with anger, and then rushes into the crater to help, but without even saying a word.
That's a no.
I think that is a no, but Diamond, I think, like, scrambles up, for a moment, and, like, immediately goes over to Magnuson. I just probably pulls him into a hug, and she was like, "You did it, though! Look what you've done!"
Amity's jumping on
so
top. Her
much,
tiny
Magnuson.
little body
Yes.
is. She's like getting on
you're in
that
so
group
much
hug
pain.
from the shoulders up.
Imagine if, like, it was leg day every day.
Oh, no.
That's how it
Astrid will
feels
come
right
over
now.
and do the hug thing too.
Yeah, it's so painful, but you're happy.
I
It's
think
like-
we're all just in
that's
this
what family
cute
is.
big hug that everyone's just like around each other, and Yara's looking out, and she's crying a little bit too, because first it was sadness, and now it's just like, we can fix this. We're gonna be okay.
As you say that, we can fix this. We're gonna be okay. You hear this voice that sounds so alien, but so familiar at the same time, because you know it's you. Who is this? And you turn,
Oh,
in
no.
the crater, being cradled by your mother, is you, younger you, but you.
Younger me than me young?
And
Well, that's because she's been a
soon
rock this whole
as
time.
Sebu sees you, the arrows are up, and he's already shouting to his other elves, and they've all got arrows up now. They're
Okay,
ignoring the
so
rest
we
of you.
explained the whole thing to you, so this should not come as a huge surprise, you dumb shit.
He's pretty dumb. Look, he's very emotional. It's been a long time, but he's marching.
Oh, she said
up.
that out loud.
Right.
Hey, you dumb piece of shit.
He's looking at you, and he marches past her, and he looks back at her, and he sees the difference in age. And he lowers his bow, and he shouts a command for the others to lower too. He looks confused, but he goes back to young Yara and kind of like ushers her to the side, and she's fucking staring daggers at you the whole time, Yara. Like, her eyes don't leave yours, right? It's like, I'm going
Guys,
to
we
kill
gotta
you.
go.
I'm going to
Time to
find
go.
you, and I'm going to kill you. But he's like gently, getting her to the side and away from you, because even he kind of knows that's probably bad, right? And they go back into the forest with your mom.
We gotta go.
who-
Imagine the
we gotta
time
piece out of
paradox
here
of
right
killing your future self.
As your mom passes, her, like, your eyes are anger, like, right? Her eyes are sad, but almost knowing, as they are ushered past you quickly.
now. Ashrin, book time.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think we should.
No. Yara says no. No, it's okay. These people have been through a lot.
Hey, I'm
this is-
not getting at them, but we shouldn't be here.
Just give me a few more minutes, okay?
But baby,
And
this is gonna
Magnuson
make it
needs a
worse.
few minutes as well.
and Yara goes to Sebu. And he says, "Could you give them both a message for me?"
Sebu turns, looks at you, but seems to like regard you in a different way than he did when you knew him when you were younger.
Yes.
And nods and says, "If you think it wise."
Just let them know that even though bad things happen, you can't always hide from it, and you need to be the one to solve it.
He nods as someone would nod when they want you to think they understand you, right? And
Well, a lot of Yara's personality is like before the union, before all this, she's changed immensely internally. Right now
Sure.
is like that's their problem.
yeah,
I'm here. This is my duty. And like she had her garden and she took care of that garden and nothing else mattered. And so she's trying to tell them like things are kind of crap right now, but you can't just hide yourself away. You need to
Sure.
go out and fix things. And so that's the message she's trying to say. It makes sense for Yara to
Totally.
tell past Yara,
Right.
but it doesn't make
100%.
sense for Yara to tell Sebu.
Right. But Sebu will nod, and he's going to take the message with him. He agrees, and vanishes with the rest of them. And the many elves are remaining. That glow in the crater has now diminished. There's still a little bit of smoke emanating out of it, but the fire is gone. That terrible green fire is extinguished. And several of them are around their trees and just, weeping or praying or just meditating with them or just taking a rest, because it's been kind of a long day for everyone in the forest.
Astrid is going to go up to Magnuson and take the hand that she had wrapped the ribbon around and just flip his hand over and go, "Are you okay? Are you okay?"
I'm just reminded of a time where and he kind of just stops right there. There's a tear slowly falling down his cheek. He just breathes heavily, still sore from the expression of giving people back their hope.
And you could have done more. You could have done more.
I know I could have done more here. I know I could have done more elsewhere. I know that with enough time, I could have done a lot. And I'm sad that I'm happy for what I have done, but I'm sad for what yet remains.
I don't know, guys. I don't know that we should have done more.
She's going to embrace you and then step back, but keep holding your hand.
Ivan's gonna look to you, Amity, and be like, "Why don't you think we should have done more?"
There's got to be a limit, right? This isn't for free. None of this is for free. And at some point, maybe we're not the ones paying the price, but you don't get unlimited power to reshape the world with a thought, and no one's paying a price for it.
We didn't fix the world.
We remade it.
Made it back to where it was, and that's not something we should punish ourselves for.
I didn't say punish ourselves. I said, let's maybe just approach with a little caution.
We need to go back to our home.
Agreed.
I think you're right in that caution is something we should exercise at that. I think. Also,
This was big.
This was big.
Big has consequences.
Yes. As we've already seen with our traveling between and what you did with Para back in Oni.
And that seemed small. It is small. That was one person's life.
Oh shit.
Well, one person with godly power.
Sure.
A bit bigger than... He carries around the same thing that we do. Thing that allowed us to do this. A bit bigger in some regards, I think. If you
But
carry
this
that
is a
kind of
whole alley of people.
thing. Yes. I also
But I'm
think we
so
did a
glad
good-
are okay now, and I think we did the right thing. And I think all we can do is keep trying to do the right thing when it's in front of us. And there's no, I don't think it's. But I'm just. It was more in response to. I don't want Mags to feel like he should have done more. This was
Oh.
already very big.
No, yes, that I agree with. And Diamond looks over at Magnus and like, I think you did wonderfully, Max. Even if there was more you could do, and you did not.
And it's not that I wish I had done more in the moment because of what I was given. I wish I could have done more because of what was taken away from this world.
Mm.
And in his head, he kind of closes his eyes and he's still kind of on his knees, kind of resting up against the slope of the crater at this point. And he closes his eyes and he just thinks to himself, I wonder if they were watching. And he, in his mind's eye, he pulls up the scoreboard that he first saw in the first floor, and he wonders what it looks like now.
Give me one more divinity roll.
If Yara's not first, I'll be mad.
21.
Okay. You reach out and try and make a connection to that scoreboard. And so you reach and you kind of like feel along these paths of divinity. Right now, they're all arcing towards this hole in the center, but you try and like fight against that current and reach a little bit further out to the edges. And you manage to find a path almost as if there's another strand, very similar to what you felt earlier with Ashran. Like there's some sort of cable, some sort of tunnel, something that is passing divine energy faster through a concentrated fiber, and you zip out and you feel yourself flowing and dancing across so many different realities, so many different possibilities. Everything in that moment that felt possible feels possible again, but instead of changing these things, simply touching them, diving into them, seeing them, experiencing them from where you are whenever you want. And there's so many people doing this right now, everywhere, all at once. And you can feel this kind of pull, like this main area where a lot of these signals are coming from. And as you reach towards it, a screen opens in your mind. But instead of showing a score, it shows a rotating upside down pyramid glowing brighter than anything you could imagine. And you hear a voice in your head saying, "There you are." And then silence.
Did I notice while observing the different realities, did I notice a specific focal point?
So the focal
like they
point
were all converging in a specific location.
What you felt was like you were looking for like viewports, kind of what you were making. Like you wanted to see that screen. You wanted to see what was attached to that screen. Most of that energy comes from where you came from that world where you came from. So there's a couple other energies observing you, but it seems like the only people aware of you, or at least only a couple more people are becoming aware of you. Those who are looking at you come from where you came from, come from the point that you entered that union.
Interesting. Okay. But now I've seen him.
There's a crack of thunder, loud and
Book
rolling.
time.
There's another crack
Time.
of thunder. The sky is blue and clear.
I let go of Magnuson's hand and I open the book.
Hey, you open
Let's
the
go.
book.
No.
Wind has now picked up and you're barely able to keep the pages down. You can see there are 2 bookmarks in it, the same one from earlier, from the Spear of Jarden, but then there's another one, and it's held by this piece of black strand. It's a string, and you can hold it, but it's a void. It's the emptiness of where a string should be. And that is dead in the center of the book. And even as you touch the pages, you can see this overwhelming darkness inside it and a crackle of purple and pink energy.
Well, bad or worse?
I mean, it's all bad, baby.
Do you want to go bad, or the void?
I don't know. I mean, creepy tower seems better than void,
Than
but
void?
then, hey,
Why-
the union's a creepy tower, so what the fuck do I know?
Why do
Okay.
I have to
We
leave?
must decide quickly.
Because there's thunder.
The
And wind.
sky is ripping open with these purple and pink bolts of energy. There is
I
a
made a mistake.
crack in reality forming, and this
Bad.
giant glowing
I'm gonna
pyramid
try
begins to
connect
descend
with
from
the
it.
book. I would kind of connect with the book and go
Yep.
into it like we did before.
Roll me
In the Spear of
your
Jarden.
divinity with advantage because you've done this before.
Where are we going? The Spirit Jarden?
I think
Yeah,
the Spirit
the-
Jarden.
Void
The alternative
string
is the
seemed
void.
ominous.
I just do other people realize that this is happening? Is what I want to know.
You can
Oh
see.
yeah,
just all of
everyone
us are
realizes
witnessing
the elves are now running for cover. You can see
23.
the treants looking up and shielding their eyes. Everyone realizes this is happening.
They're all safer if we run away.
You rolled a 23. You call to the others. Do you go to her?
Oh
Then
yeah,
you
I'm standing
all-
right beside her saying, book time, book time, book time.
Then you all link arms. There's a flash of light, and it all gets really quiet for a moment. And then this wind picks up, and you're chilled. All of you are chilled as you look out over this expanse in front of you. You're high up a mountain, standing just outside this observatory with this massive telescope that's pointed out into this void in front of you. And at the very edge of it, you can see a storm as tall and powerful as you could ever imagine as it dissipates in front of you and reveals the Union.
All right.
There's a crackle of energy from it. Just starts to build at the bottom, vibrates towards the top until there's energy running through every brick, every edge of it, and then there's an explosion. And the whole thing goes up in one brilliant ball of pink and purple astral energy. You all throw your arms to protect your eyes, and as it dies down, there is a void in front of you, a sucking void pulling all of reality in. And we're gonna hold right there. Thank
Happy
you
10th
all for joining
episode,
us.
everyone.
Yeah, happy 10th episode. That's right.
The
it is-
11th one's free.
The 11th one is indeed free. I would like you all to come back this week. I want to go ahead and share Magnuson's backstory because it's going to tie in so nicely to what we just did here. So join us next week at 1 p.m. Eastern right here on twitch.tv/Godsfall,
Wow.
and we'll run Magnuson's backstory while we are here. That was
Yes.
great. I had a really
Good to see you.
Hey, how you doing, Ron?
I am doing well. Would you tell the audience, please, who you are playing this evening?
Hi, so I'm Chris, and I'm playing Magnuson, the dwarven paladin in the show.
Yes, and probably I would argue to say, well, no, that's not fair because we don't know a lot about Diamond. Like we know a lot about Diamond's personality, but pretty much nothing about Diamond, right?
Right.
But I would say second would be the one like we don't know a lot about Magnuson yet, right?
That would be relatively fair to say. He's kind of quiet and reserved, especially about personal things because of past experience, and
Sure.
also just as that's kind of how he feels like he fits in the group. He's the quiet, shy, stoic type, and then he kind of bursts out when, like, him as a person bursts out more in social interactions when they become necessary.
Yeah, he's one of those people that just kind of like listens and speaks when it's most impactful. Like he knows what he needs to say something, right? Everyone else is kind of just filling the air, right?
Yeah, I mean, a picture's worth 1,000 words, but an action's worth 1,000 pictures.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, excellent. Magnuson is from a community of dwarven separatists is not the right word. Exiles, I suppose. Because you are the grandson of, let me get his name, hang on. The grandson of Daravan, who was one of the Knights of Veldaram that were ejected from Gol Hadir. Clan Stoneburner, who had vanished some 200 years prior, just returned suddenly out of nowhere with incredible, powerful magics and quickly overwhelmed the houses that were in power. Your grandfather fled. Fled. Your grandfather was one of the Knights Guards. He protected the queen. The queen had two twins, two sons named... I swear I wrote everything down this time.
It's all good.
Her son, so she had a son and a daughter, twins, Tegris and Tinia. And she escaped with them with they took three ships, as many dwarves from their clan as they could, and the knights. They were like her personal guard. Many of the knights remained and fought, and some were later kicked out, sent further south, and they formed their own dwarven colony. So there's a whole nother group of Veldaram dwarves as well. But you guys like the elite royal guard, and your job was to keep the princess and everyone else safe.
Yeah.
And you managed to do so. You guys went straight north. There was nowhere else to go. If you had gone south, you would have run into either patrols from Gol Hadir or patrols from Kadar, which would be equally bad. So you just went straight north, and you went to the equivalent of like okay, so we're going to go settle in Antarctica now. If Antarctica had a bunch of mountains right along the coast. So you just went, yeah, it's not the best.
It's Siberia.
Yeah. It's not great. It's not great. But you didn't have any other options, and fortunately there are mountains. So you guys got there, you broke your ships down, because there was you knew immediately, you're not gonna have a navy, you're not going anywhere. We need
the lumber.
Whatever you can do to survive here is what you had to do. So you broke down the 2 ships you could break down. One of these ships was an ironwood ship. That was the Queen's Royal vessel, right? So you couldn't break that one down. You just didn't have the tools to. Ironwood is like steel. So instead, you basically built a little, you pulled it onto shore and just slid it along the ice and put it in a cave. So there's a perfectly okay ironwood ship just sitting in a cave if you ever need it, right?
Yeah, just
right. It's just like what's her name, Moana. Just like it's just sitting in a cave, ready to go.
Yeah,
you're like your 13th birthday, some flames gonna pop out. You're gonna jump in
case of
ship.
emergency, break ice.
It's basically exactly what it is. So, but the rest of it was all broken down, and you guys, as dwarves do, dug in. The mountains are right along this incredibly cold but rich bay. The weak summers that exist for you about 2 months out of the year, and by summer I mean like fall going in and spring going out, like all of it, right? Is incredibly fertile land around you. So you're able to grow quite a lot in that short period of time and then store it. And then on top of that, the bay is just so rich in fish and especially whales. Every year there's massive pods of sperm whales that just go through this area. Like it's not like it is now. It's like it used to be. So it's not like a couple hundred sperm whales. It's tens of thousands, maybe even 100,000 sperm whales, more than you could ever imagine. Right? And they just flood this area. And it's basically why you guys stayed alive. You got some magical items. She's got some even small magical items like a decanter of endless water, right? And a bar of heat metal. You combine those 2 things and you've created steam power. So little things like that, they've been able to use to jury rig unlimited power with relatively small magical items, and then including their own abilities as well. So once they dug in and once they got in, the winter wasn't that much of a problem, not for their daily life. Even without an open source of flames, being that deep underground makes the caverns warm and relatively livable. There's things you have to fight, but you manage, right? But it's not like there's mine flayers in the mountains, or it's like bears, right? You're fighting normal things. You're not up against
cave bears.
Yeah, there's things. There's yetis and other creatures that are a little scarier, but for the most part, they don't come to where you are, right along the shore, buried in your caves, and even to get out from where you are, it's where 2 mountains pass. So it's a very narrow way to even get into where you are. It's perfectly defensible. The only times you guys have been attacked is when Clan Stoneburner came after you almost right away, and they fortunately were hit. They had 24 ships, and they were just half of them were wiped out by this huge freak storm. So you lucked out. You were able to fight off the rest who really weren't ready for the cold. And ever since that, they've just left you alone. They basically went home, declared a victory, and then that was it.
Yeah, they got Napoleon.
Right, exactly. Just stay, and we're fine, And so, and then Kadar sent an expeditionary force once they found out what happened. But by that point, you guys had dug in and realized that there was a surprising amount of godstones in those mountains that just no one had ever bothered to go dig up or knew were there. And you were able to. Kadar didn't want to fight, right? Because they were pretty strained at the time, and they did not want to fight. And they didn't want to have to try and get you out of there. So as soon as you were like, look, what if we give you some godstones and you kind of maybe let us have this land that you claim is yours, right? Like, okay, all right.
Just pretend we don't exist. Here's a bribe.
They definitely wanted godstones more than they wanted to move you out of a frozen wasteland they don't plan to go to anyway. So It was an easy call.
Yeah.
So your grandfather landed there with the queen, and they set up, and some 200 years later, here you are walking around in, how would Magnuson be dressed? Let's say that he's on the surface, right? And he's on the surface because he needs to go and pull in some lines because you guys are going whaling today, and you need to go help get the boat ready. So you're walking out to the boat now. So what is Magnuson walking around in? Let's say it's early spring, so it's not like freezing. It's a clear day, but it's cold, right?
He's probably wearing some hides and furs. Nothing like super duper heavy to go trudging out into the snow.
Yeah.
But, you know, just like a basic layer, like maybe like a nice tunic with a long sleeve kind of like padded undershirt. Some like nice thick leather pants. And some nice like strappy boots because why not? And he's probably wearing a cloak, some sort of bear's pelt or wolf's pelt or something, just something he found or was traded to him by a friend or.
Oh no! Your grandfather, like, you're his favorite, right? You're
okay.
you are the youngest, and your grandfather just fucking dotes on you to the
Okay.
to the annoyance of everyone else. And so, like, it was your 18th birthday. It's the equivalent of your 18th birthday. You're a dwarf. So, but like, if we were gonna, like, if it's our world, it's like it's your 18th birthday. So before the ceremony, before you guys get back from whaling, he's already given you this cloak that he wore while he was in the fucking Knight's Guard. It's been in a trunk for 120 years, and like no one even knew it was there to get. So no one can really be mad at you, but they still are kind of mad at you.
They're like, what the hell, Gramps? You've been holding out on me this entire time?
Yeah, and it's perfect. Like it's clearly not the one he wore on duty. It's the ceremonial one because it's like in perfect condition, right? Yeah. So that's what you're wearing, walking around the village right now.
Yeah, you know, I'm just kind of like enjoying the fit. You know, kind of like
nice.
just like giving myself a nice fit check. Like, this is nice. I like this. I dig this.
You guys can't. I mean, you guys are incredible. There are incredibly skilled crafters in your community. You guys build amazing things. You're talking about your boots are beautifully sewn because they have to be, because they have to be good. So everything's made well, but the craftsmanship that exists in the halls of Gul Hadir and these ancient sewing machines they have,
miles by comparison.
It's unbelievable. Like it's such a special thing in a world where you guys really can't afford too many special things because you need to survive. Yeah.
Right, so I think at this point he's up on the surface helping pull lines, getting things ready. He's not quite sure. I think he's probably had his older brother come back from this before and kind of give him the spooky ghost story version. Yeah. So he doesn't really know what to expect, but he's been doing some basic weapons training. He's been going over the court, like the course, because it was handed out to all of the sailors beforehand, so you kind of knew what to expect.
Sure.
He's been like freaking out over what he's packing with him because he doesn't know how long it's going to be. Yeah. Because we're going until we're done.
Yeah, you're going until you're done. Well, you know that they're close, so they do basically get near and swim right into the bay. So they are there. Now you won't tackle them in the bay because you guys just don't. Like the ones that come into the bay, it's considered very special. So if they do swim into this area willingly, you know, people have gone out there and, like, you know, tossed them fish and like you know, there's this whole interaction. Like you really do appreciate and value the fact that you are only here because these creatures choose to be here. So you value that and respect that. You go out into the deeper water to catch them where it's, I don't even want to say fair fight, but where it's like honorable, I suppose.
Yeah, it's more. Yeah, it's less dubious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can't assign, like, I have no idea what it's like to have to live, you know, off what I can hunt and gather, and like, so I think in this case we can't assign any value to it. I mean, even if they did the easiest thing, like if they caught the whales in the bay, I would imagine it's like, if my child isn't going to live, right? Like it's a whole different frame of thinking that I can't even imagine. You know, so I don't think our sense of morality matters.
Yeah,
frankly.
really, honestly, it doesn't.
It just doesn't. So you are and because it's taken up this like incredibly powerful place in the tribe. As you're walking out, like everyone's out. Everyone's either on the beach or doing something. It's a very celebratory atmosphere. There's only about there's less than 100 of you, right? No, I'm sorry. After 200 years, there'd be maybe 150, maybe 200 tops, but there's not a lot of you. Right, you only came here on 3 ships, and dwarves take a long time to make a kid, so there's not a whole lot of you.
Yeah, it's a very small, like secular, insular community.
Absolutely, and
because we kind of have to be.
You have to be. What else are you gonna do? I mean, you can't trust anyone. You were chased here, and anyone who comes this far, you have to assume has some motivation against you. Because why would they be here, right? Yeah. So I would say that so when someone turns 18, right, everyone's out. Everyone's involved. It's a whole community thing. Everyone gets to celebrate. No one's left out, right? So if they're not going I would say there's about 2 boats. They're these big open canoes that are balanced on either side, right? And because you're hitting some choppy waters right out. And you can like only do this on a clear day. If there's any wind, or you would just be carried right out to sea. There'd be no way, right? So there's 2 boats. They're very decoratively painted. It's very dwarven still. Like it's very clear, concise shapes, right? Very simple geometrical designs as opposed to really elaborate like animals or things like that.
It's very esoteric, not script.
Dwarves value font. That's their primary form of decoration.
Yeah. I get that.
Whole wars were fought over Helvetica, entire battles. There's this really like insane group of like rebel dwarves that has this like Comic Sans. Just infuriate all the dwarves. How dare you go against your people? All right.
Everything changed when the Holy Times New Roman Empire attacked.
That's right. I just want to run a font game with dwarves. It'd be amazing.
Oh man.
All right, so as you're walking down, people are running up to you. A bunch, like one kid after the next, brings you a seashell, right? Like they're just like, it's kind of like it's a general gift, and also used kind of like in place of a dowry sometimes, right? Like, but it's all symbolic. It's not right. So it's not like it's money. But so all these kids are running up. They like maybe 7 or 8 kids you got are running up and bringing you shells.
And he happily thank them. And he's got a little, like a kind of like a decorative little pouch that he puts them in to keep them, because it's the symbology of this whole process of, he's elevating himself from their stature to kind of the next tier of dwarven life.
Absolutely.
So he wants to keep kind of a token of remembrance for that his past. So he probably has like a small leather pouch that's maybe decorated or like punched in a little bit. It's functional. It's function over form, but it still looks kind of nice. And has it out, and every time he gets a shell, he gently places it in, and he thanks him and shakes her hand, or whatever the ceremonial kind of rapport is. Yeah.
I would say that how do you want it to be? So if like a young child, let's say like this like 8-year-old equivalent girl walks up and she's like, hey, and she walks up, Mags, and she's got like, it's like everyone else brought like like a little seashell, and she's got this conch that's like it's like 1.5 feet. She's got both arms under it, like, hey, and she's like trying to run up, and she's like, finally, and she just drops it right in front of you in the snow. Well, not snow. It's like it's melted now, so you actually have grass and everything right now. So she just drops it like in the hard grass.
Where'd you find that one?
Well, and then like, as she's kind of like kicking the dirt, like her mom is running up, because this is like a family heirloom, right? And she's just like, as you turn it over, there's a little silver plaque that clearly has the family's name on it. And the mom's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, you know better. And You know?
It's quite all right, man.
Yeah.
She had the best intentions.
And she left. And you two, you two are about kind of not the same age, but she'd be the equivalent of like 28. So a little older than you, but not too much older than you. And she just like, you guys have been friends for a while, right? She's like, thank you. She's such a handful.
Yeah, everyone was at one point.
And she laughs because you were quite a handful and she's got in trouble a lot because of you. So yeah, she agrees. Listen, I know you've been training. I know your brothers are with you, but it's dangerous.
I know.
I know you know. All right, well, and then she looks around kind of embarrassed, and then she reaches into her apron and she pulls out this perfect crystal shell. You know that she works with jewelry and stones, and she has carved this stone down to be just this elegant spiral. So beautifully carved. You can even see, even though it's all glass basically, right? All clear cut stone. You can see where she's carved stripes. You can see the difference between this, in the texture where you can almost feel it suggest color. It's just that well done. And she just kind of blushes and she's like, all right, well, be careful. Don't die. And she pushes you and she kind of just walks away.
He stumbles back and he kind of holds it up and he says, well, now I know I won't.
She waves and she storms off after her kid, who was already causing a trouble somewhere else. She is a pain in the ass.
He would take it and he probably has a small pocket on the inside of his tunic or his vest, and you kind of tuck it in there a little bit closer to the top of the chest.
Totally.
Just as it's a little safer than the pouch.
Yeah, perfect. It's not going to go anywhere. You could fall in the ocean, you're good to go, right? Yeah, excellent. So you get down to the beach and there are two sets of dwarves. One boat to the left, which is painted in these deep blues and purples, and it's very evocative of a churning wave. But again, I would say dwarves are kind of impressionistic, right? In how they do things almost, right?
Okay.
Yeah, at least these ones are, right? And then on your boat, it's quite the opposite. It's painted to look like fire and steam, and it represents some of the thermal energies you guys have tapped into, which allows you to live here. And those are the two sides. You're on Team Red and Team Blue's over here. And your brothers see you as you walk up. Your twin, not idiot's harsh. they're you know what they are? They're two himbos, right? They're two, they're twimbos, if you will. They are the same himbo. So they're equally dumb and neither one compensates for the other. However, they're incredibly physically skilled. They can do anything physical. They can swim, they can dive, they're a little taller, a little broader than all the other dwarves. They're just the dude jocks who have hearts of gold of the community. They're both bro! So you're walking up. Hugs and there's noogies and there's headbutts and there's laughter. There's at least there's 3 flasks. Not sure where the third one came from, but each flask is it's Everclear and then something worse than Everclear and then maybe jet fuel. Yeah.
Oh geez.
It's a lot, but it's all in celebration of you. And as they go to set off, one of your brothers gets up and gives a short speech about how when you were born, he tried to drown you. And you've heard this story so much. This gets told every family get together about how mom, he's can I play with my brother? And your mom said yes. And literally 5 minutes later, you're on your own little ice floe, just going out.
Just
and that's
playing with some rocks, just
you were perfectly happy about my day. Yeah, exactly. You weren't afraid at all, but your mom was pretty pissed. She was not pleased with that one.
And I just listen to the story and kind of chuckle, remembering all the other times I've heard this story and been equally embarrassed.
Exactly. And it's just as bad, but it's out of love. So you let him again tell the story for your sake. Everyone passes around a flask. There's some shouts, there's some yells, and then Berlinda, who is your whaling captain, calls for the boats to be launched, and she's in the front of the blue one as well. So you guys are kind of following her to the front, and you hit the water. The bay, again, is very well protected. The mountains kind of hit it at the edge and then open up in the middle. So imagine if like there's just a mountain wall facing the ocean, right? And there's a crack in the middle of it, maybe 30, 40 feet wide. And then this bay opens up as the mountain spreads around it. And then this beach area, all this land is kind of there and then off to the north, right? So it's all cradled in this very protected thing. So even if the storm is raging outside, the bay is usually pretty calm still. Today, it's dead calm because outside is pretty nice. Sun's out. Bunch of birds out. Yeah, and you guys are making good pace out. You should be out into the sea in the next minute or so. How do you feel right now?
At this point, the nerves are kicking in a little bit. I mean, he's been a little anxious because he hates, as much as he goes through the motions, he hates ceremonies. He hates the whole thought of the ceremonial aspect of this. He's like, let's just. There's one objective today. Let's just go do this, and that way I can come home.
Right. Let's do the thing and get on with it. Right.
Yeah. And he's used to the water, but I don't know if he's really used to the concept of the ever expansive sea. So
it's hard to get used to. Yeah.
It's just that it's kind of that like sinking feeling a little bit in his stomach. He's just like, oh.
Yeah. There's nothing quite literally to ground you. It's just empty, ever. Fortunately for you, the mountains, if you get too far from the mountains, you're fucked. So that's a pretty good sign.
Yeah.
But at least you have that, Yeah.
Like he knows he's around people that care about him and want to keep him protected. So he's like, all right, well, everything's fine. But it's just that weird, like, that like raising hairs on the back of your neck feeling like this almost seems too perfect.
Fair. Right. Like it's a setup. Right. And that's,
It's like,
that's what keeps you alive in a place like this.
And I'm used to it from the Twin Bows too. I'm used to the setup from them.
That is fair. Like they got superpowers, right? Like they are dumb and get themselves into dumb situations, but they got superpowers to get out of the dumb situation. So they don't have to learn, but everyone else is in trouble, right?
Yeah.
Right, so you guys hit this break in the mountains and you have to kind of fight because the waves are constantly coming in right now. It's low. I don't know if it's low tide or high tide, which one it would be. I think high tide, but the waves are trying to fight you in. So you have to paddle, fight out, and then you break out. It's a little choppier than you thought it was going to be. But as soon as you're out, you can see the whales. Just thousands of pods coming up and down in a highway in front of you.
And I think his jaw would drop slightly because he's used to when they come in. I don't think he's used to when we go out.
Yeah, I mean, you have
because this is his first venture.
Yeah, it's you can't climb those mountains. I mean, you could climb those mountains, but it'd be really hard. It's a lot easier to get here by boat, and you just haven't been out here yet. You've been to the edge, and you've seen through, and you've seen these whales breaching. You've seen one leap right up and crash back down. It's impressive, but being this close to them is something completely different. It's a force of nature.
Well, it's also a perception thing. He's used to seeing them from a distance, good several hundred feet away from behind the mountain line and being surrounded by it at every angle,
it's completely different.
Low, sometimes above, and a full 360 around him. It's awe-inspiring.
It's also incredibly clear how much you are in their territory and not the other way around. Because the grace that these things show, these things that are larger than the ships you came here on, right, is just stunning. Absolutely stunning. As you're watching, what you're looking for, and your spotters have become quite trained at this, right? So what they do is they have this kind of folding ladder that comes out from the front, and they tie down ropes, and the first person climbs up it, and everyone else has to balance the boat because they just need to be high enough just to see over the tops of the whales and be able to spot them. What they're looking for is a calf that is hurt, a calf that is older, a calf that is weathered. Someone that's an easier target, because these things are incredibly large animals, and also something where there's this interesting thing about hunting where, like, if I had this friend of mine who used to hunt deer, and I never understood it because I don't hunt, right? It's just not something I want to do. But he clearly showed that, like, if they didn't hunt the deer once a year, I mean, deer they breed like rabbits. Like, there would be so many deer, and it'd be a giant catastrophe, not just for the people, but for the deer. So I'm like, I like a hamburger. Like, I'm not gonna, I don't know what to say. If I was a vegetarian, maybe I could be, more like, well, I have an opinion on this, but I don't feel like I can just because someone's bringing it to me, So anyways, in this case, it's even more so because literally the survival of everyone depends on whether or not you get that whale. This is it's partially ceremonial, just 'cause it means so much, but it doesn't take away the vitality of any single kill, All right, so your brothers look to you. Now they're looking mainly to their whaling captain of when they're going to head out. But one of them looks at you and grabs you by the shoulders, and you know what's coming because that this is just what they do. But they force your head under, right? And then they're going to pull you back out, and then everyone laughs like, "What?" And they go. So they're going to do this a couple times, right?
Sure.
Third time you go down, right? Everything slows down, and you're looking at what looks like a swirling, like there's a whirlpool that's forming beneath you. You get pulled back out, and they shout again, and wham! It's opened. This swirling mass of water beneath you has opened, and you can see sky. You're pulled back out, and you're slammed back down, and you see the land beneath you. It's like you're looking down on a land from very, very, very high up, and you see the continents, you see where you're from, and you see this, and you're pulled back out and slammed back down again, and this storm just swallows everything. And then you're pulled back out, and it was like, yeah, and they give you a drink, and they're already toweling you off, and they're shouting to start to row.
He's starting to breathe heavy. Just, because the force of being held down and trying to hold your breath and kind of the deep breathing between. And also kind of he's confused because it's like, am I seeing things?
Yeah.
Or should I be worried? And that makes this like kind of like the weird spider sense tingle a little harder.
Sure. The bay is crystal clear. And even like with your hands on the edge looking down, like you can see deep into it. There's nothing there. There's nothing like you were just seeing. I mean, you saw daylight, you saw sky beneath you.
And then nothing.
And then a storm swallowed up like the largest hurricane you've ever seen, if it just closed in on its eye, right? And then you basically saw a storm swallow the world in that moment. And you've seen enough maps where you could recognize that it was your world you were looking down on. Not that, I don't know why you would think it was someone else's, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know where it was, Yeah.
Yeah. Was it anywhere significant?
You were just basically above. So I would say you were above Kadar in general. So there was much more to the south as well, but you're kind of above Kadar, and your guys are a little north to Kadar. So that was your main focus.
Huh.
You'd have had to have been, 30, 40, 50,000 feet up. Not that you would understand that, but you would understand that you're a great distance up.
I could see that the mainland of Kadar, and I could see just the small specks of the spires of our kind of mountain range.
Exactly.
And then in the next instant, it was all just swallowed.
Yep. That's exactly what you saw.
Huh. And he's gonna kind of almost like mentally kind of close up. like he's still physically there. He's still interacting. He's still being social.
Yeah,
He's still kind of doing the whole ceremonial thing.
But inside,
in the back of his head, he's tuned it all out. It's just muscle memory.
Yep.
From the events of the day.
And I would say you guys go on. So they start rowing, and like you like are just sitting there for a sec, and then you realize everyone's rowing, and you start rowing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you go out for about, again, it's like they seemed closer than they were, right? Because they're so big. And then as you start to get closer, like, oh wow, they are so big. And then one just leaps up, and you can just see it just clear as day. You could swear its eyes looking right at you, and then wham! And everyone's shouting and yelling, and they start to get these big, huge harpoons ready that have these long ropes that have just been snaked all about the boat. Half of your guys' training when you were on land was someone would just pull these coils of rope really fast, and you had to move your feet. It was all about not getting tripped up in the rope because you're dead if that happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, actually, there's probably like 8 ways to die, right? Like you could see a lot of ways to die right now. Yeah. It is not a safe thing.
Mm-mm.
So right now, your job as the most green crewman on board is to belay those ropes. You are making sure those ropes stay coiled right, that things are tied tight. When you're handing someone a harpoon, there's a rope attached already. So you're working that crew with 2 other kids. Who are these kids and how do you know them?
So I think they're friends of my brothers.
Yeah.
And I think they all had their own little crew of kids in that kind of like environment.
Yeah.
I think they're my brother's friends, and I think my brothers have been like tasked them on the low to fuck with my job, to make my job harder.
Oh, 100%. Also because like this isn't something that happens like when you turn 18. Dwarves do ceremonies when they're earned. There are things you do, then you get the thing. So you could be 19, these guys could be 23, but you're all taking the same test because you got there faster, right? So there's probably a little resentment there too.
Sure.
So,
They're doing everything they can to make it look like they're doing their job, but also secretly fucking with my job at the same time. Just to, because of that whole, it's like a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of poking fun.
Totally. 100%. Okay. And it's also, of course, cold and the waves are hitting you and this boat is rocking. So I would like from you 2 dexterity rolls and 1 constitution roll as you're prepping these ropes. Because it's D&D and you might as well roll a fucking die.
Yeah, right. So dexterity, I got an 8.
Nice. Oh,
for the first one.
Nice.
Yeah. So you said 2 dexterities and 1 constitution?
Correct.
Okay. Second one is a 18.
All right.
And then constitution is a 20.
Okay. All right. So you are just powering through this. You have been trained for this. You are used to this. You were born in the snow. You're not like the dwarves who first came here. Like you grew up knowing nothing but this. So this is just a day to you, right? You got this. And you're able to power through it fine. It's hard in the beginning. You did really well. You know the ropes, literally. You know the connections. You know how to tie things off. But when it's all happening around you, and when the boat's moving, and it's and you've done this in the bay, but it's just a little different out here. So it takes you a while.
Something about I think maybe just the water. I think something about being a little waterlogged and a little. I think also that my headspace is off because of my visions, or was it my mind playing tricks on me?
Yeah.
Or I'm just like, I'm not quite focused, but I like, it's muscle memory, so I'm getting most of it, but I'm only getting like 80%.
Yeah, exactly. And but in the end, you nail it. Like it didn't take you long, maybe 5-6 minutes, and you're already on board with it, and you're doing just fine. So you guys are laying out ropes, and they spot a calf. The guy jumps down, they fold in this ladder, and your brother turns to you. Which brother? Let's say Billos turns to you and harpoon.
I hand him a harpoon.
All right.
It's my job.
All right. And you hand him a very good harpoon. and it's really well tied. And he's like, it's excellent. Well done. And they're not like, typical older brothers where they give you shit. He's like, well done. Like, he is very proud of the harpoon you just handed him.
They give me shit, just not in this moment.
Right,
because they're more of a right time, right place kind of guys.
Yeah, it's not this kind of shit. Like when you do something right, like they're not trying to beat you down. They are like, I am so psyched you're here. I can't wait till we do this every day. Like it's that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So he takes it. He gives you that look that he loves you so much, and then he just turns, and your other brother's at the front of the boat, right? And he runs towards him, puts a foot into his hand, and your brother just hurls him up as he's like gone. They're dwarves, so it's like it's like 4 or 5 feet up, but it's really impressive, right? Comparatively. Right. And he just goes down trying to get this one whale. And I'm gonna roll dice. I haven't rolled real dice in so long.
Honestly, I could also roll dice.
Yeah, why not?
I have some handy.
You know what? There's something special about rolling. Did I ever show you these? I love these so much.
Oh, these are so cool.
Oh, they're great.
That is awesome.
They're all pink agate. And so
that's super cool.
Like they got these really cool, they're all different with really cool stripes. Yeah, I love
those. Those are nice.
All right, I haven't used these in a while.
I've got my special. It's kind of hard to see on the green screen. It is a hollow 3D printed cool. D20.
That's crazy.
It's really cool. I love it.
Excellent. Yes, let's roll some actual dice.
Roll some actual dice.
All right. 13 plus 5 is going to be just fine. He comes down hard, right in the back. I'd say like mid back. I'm not sure what parts of a whale, but like in the back, I guess. And there's a huge burst of water, and it immediately rolls. And he's taken like off the side and just rolled underwater.
Ooh. And as much as I'm kind of reeling, because I'm like, he'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And I'm just waiting for my cue.
And rolls completely over, and your brother's still there, and he's laughing because he's an idiot, and he's laughing as hard as he can. A couple more people hit. They've got more harpoons in the whale. It's fighting, but they're able to kind of drag it. You're seeing the other 2 guys that were with you getting kind of overwhelmed, and their ropes are starting to get tangled up.
Doing the best that I can to keep my rope taut, because I want to have slack, but I also want to make sure that we're keeping a nice taut rope. I'll see if I can like step off to the side and kind of put my foot down to prevent too much slack from going, and then try to like nudge it to the side or fix it so that way the ropes don't get too tangled, and I can reach down and fix them with my hand if I absolutely have to.
I would like
focused on keeping my brother from losing
his
tautness.
You're running his rope. That is totally fair. That's got to be your primary concern. He's on the damn whale. I would say that you can either roll me a dexterity roll, just a straight dex, or you can roll me survival.
I think I will do a survival check here. Let's see what I get. And that is a 16 total.
Yeah, so you're able to monitor your ropes, parse these guys out. You think they're just fine, and then one of them, you see a rope start to run, and it's wrapped around his forearm.
Oh,
and it's pulling out quick.
Oh, God. I'm going to get your arm out from under that rope now.
You do mean literally? You don't have. If you deliver the line, it's going to go taut.
It's gone. I think what I'd have to do is grab the rope out from in front of him.
Yeah.
So I have one rope in one hand, one rope in the other, and I'm holding a third one down, and I'm like,
all right. I would like you. So you're trying to give him like a second to get his arm out. I would like you to roll strength.
That I can do. For a grand total of 21.
Oh, yeah. You're just like, for a moment, the whale's tail goes up and the flipper starts to pull to the side. And that really drags this rope. For a second, you grab that rope and you wrap it around, and for a moment you hold that tail. That guy gets his arm out, you let go, splash down, and you just kind of collapse into the back of the boat, panting.
Well, I still have the other rope in my hands.
Yes, exactly.
Just
No,
I
you have not let go.
fall back, but I only lean back a little bit because I'm still holding onto this rope with my other arm.
Nice. That's even better. So you fall backwards, but you've got this other rope, so it goes taut just before you hit the ground. That's like hand over hand as you pull yourself back up, because you're not gonna let your brother down.
No way.
Excellent. Then the rest of it goes well. I mean, your boat actually did most of the work. You weren't the lead boat, but you guys were just in the right position at the right time, and you're not going to push your luck. You bring in a whale. There is a beautiful ceremony that night, and again, there's been a lot of drinking. Like it's like 8 p.m. and you are very drunk. You know.
Yeah.
And you never got a glass of anything. Everything was brought to you. And it was never like, here's a glass of punch. It was always like, here's this hip flask that I've had, all day. That's all you're getting are like body warm hip flask, which is not what you're looking for. But it's been a really, really good day. And you got some gifts. Your mom made you this, like everyone sews, like, everyone grows up doing all crafts. There's no male guy. There's no guy, girl. There's no separation. You need to know how to weave. You need to know how to sew. You need to know how to do everything that everyone else does, because you all need to at any given time to survive, right? You all know first aid. Like, you all know the basics. You all know the ways that you all have learned how to survive in the relatively short period of time, certainly for dwarves, that you've been here, right? So the stars, have you ever been really out and seen the stars, like somewhere real far away from anything?
It's been a while, but yes.
Yeah, it's magical. It's magical. My uncle has a farm up on the border of Canada in Michigan. And I would go up there in the summers, and I would just lay in like a field, right? And I would just look up and just watch these stars. And it was just so many of them. You could see, because there were so many of them, you could see the pattern of them moving together. Like, you could recognize the whole thing was rolling in front of you. And I just found it amazing. So I can't imagine being somewhere like the North Pole, where there's no humidity, where it's crystal clear, where you can just see everything, which would seem like what I see now here, there. You know what I mean? I can't imagine anyone would not look up during the night and just pause for a moment, because it was that amazing. And so that's what you're doing now. Like, you kind of don't have a choice, because you're a little drunk, but you're looking up at these stars and you're seeing, after watching them for a while, how they shift and turn, and it just looks like a swirling storm to you.
And I'm going to take this brief moment of drunken clarity, and I'm going to grab that little gem crystal. I'm going to kind of look at the stars through it.
Okay.
Just like this endless swirl within a swirl.
Yeah. So,
and just very, very badly think on what I was thinking earlier, because existential dread.
As you hold it up, the lights of the stars, as they seem to swirl too fast to be right, too circular to be possible, right? As they swirl in front of you, they get caught in this little glass shell, and they're kind of bouncing in and out, and you're just mesmerized by it for a moment. It's terrible and horrifying, and you know it's not right, and clearly no one else is seeing it, and it could just be because you're drunk, but you weren't drunk on the boat. And that looks just like kind of what you saw on the boat. So you're just kind of not sure what to think, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just confused.
Yeah, I would be too, right? So you're looking up through this, shell, and then you just hear the loudest fucking horn. And it's the horn that they blow if they see a ship.
Oh.
And when in the summer here, nighttime isn't really nighttime. Like, it gets really dim, and then it gets kind of daylight. And that's how it is for a couple months in a row, right? Yeah.
It's like twilight hours, except it's, 1 in the morning.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's 8 p.m., but you can all clearly see the boat that's coming up. And there is a big ass Kadarian boat that just broke through the mountains and entered your bay.
And this is very awkward when the entire town's drunk.
This isn't the best timing, but you're dwarf, so it's like 40% like a given
right.
time, right?
That's
right.
Fair.
Right. They're
Fair.
used to it. They're ready. Like, let's go. So this big ass Kadarian ship is now sailing into your bay. People are running around. They're grabbing weapons, but they're also like, what do we do? We can't just like a whole Kadarian military ship just came into our bay.
Right. I think that I would go to grab weapons.
Yeah.
I think I would that would probably be kind of my routine. Is like, I think over the course of my training over the last couple of years, like learning different fighting styles, learning the different trades and the different skills, I've kind of picked my own course, and I think I would grab, we're dwarves, we use axes because that's our shtick.
Right.
Axes and picks are generally best to use. I mean, hammers as well to an extent, especially in the area. Is axes specifically because I'm thinking for things like carpentry and woodworking. Those are very massive, like a very necessary skills. So I would probably have more of a fine-tuned axe.
Oh, yeah.
That I would, and then a shield because the trolls.
I imagine you would be running back to the home to gear up with every, with every, and your grandfather is ready. He is like, boom, he's got, your grandfather does not use a shield. He uses 2 axes and he's got both of them sharpened. He is ready to go.
I think I'd grab my axe and my shield, grab my armor,
All right.
Drunkenly strapping myself in.
Right.
What the hell is going on?
Yeah. Now, the prince and princess are there as well, which now is like their mom is very old. She's still around, but she's very old and she doesn't really leave the house. So they're the prince and princess, but they're really taking care of everything. They're just doing everything. And then when she dies, they'll actually be the king and queen. Or like, I guess they haven't quite figured it out yet. They're twins, right? So they say king and queen, but it's normally and while it would normally be like a thing where you marry into, in dwarves it's not. There's just a king and queen. They just make sure there's both there's a male and female ruler at all times. That's just what they make sure.
It doesn't matter why.
It doesn't matter why. It's not about marriage or about family. It's just about having a king and a queen. Yep. So that's what they are going to do. Unfortunately, the king didn't make it out of Gul Hadir, but the queen did. So this will be the first king and queen you guys have had since that incident. So they're there. You all are there, and this Kadarian ship doesn't dock. You don't have a dock. Any of you had it? I mean, you have like these small docks, right? But not anything big enough for the ship.
Sure.
So it anchors in your bay. It lowers down 4 rowboats, larger than the boats you just took out to take out a whale. And the whale is, by the way, there. So it's this big ass whale right off to the side. And then up here, these boats row to shore. A ton of Kadarian soldiers get out, and they are led by these 2 women in long white and silver cloaks and these long ironwood staves with these godstones on the front of them, stones that you have seen over and over. I mean, there's use it in all your jewelry, it's the stone you have, right? They weren't supposed to be here, at least to pick up an order for another couple months, and they've never sent a military vessel, not since the first expeditionary force years ago. Your brother kind of walks up next to you, right? So this is Bodemir, right? He walks up and he's like, "See that?
What is it?"
And like he's nodding towards the ship, which everyone has clearly seen.
It's a ship.
Yeah, it's Kadarians.
Fun. I thought they weren't supposed to be around for a while.
They don't come around unless they come up to pick the old. They never bought, and there's a bunch of negotiation happening over there. Like, you're not in charge. So this is not your job. You're just kind of standing in the background. Right. And if you get the order to attack, you'll attack. But what else are you going to do, right?
Yeah. Just.
Right. But as you're watching, there's now like the prince and princess turn towards you, and so do the cloaked people turn towards you, and one of them point directly to you.
And my head kind of just cocks to the side, and I'm looking at the prince and princess because I'm just waiting for an order.
Yeah.
But I'm also very curious, like I'm just like, what?
It's getting heated. The conversation is now heated. The princess is very upset. The prince is trying to calm her down. The princess is very upset, and she's almost poking this person in the chest, and just like, not a fucking chance, basically. That's kind of the vibe you're getting, right?
And I kind of just like point and like
and she angrily, like, not angrily at you, but like impatiently, because she's just so pissed, waves you over.
And I'll break through the crowd and be like, hey, I'll be right back.
The princess grabs you as soon as you walk up, right? And she's like, look, and she pulls out this giant ass godstone she has on an amulet around her neck. She's like, look, see, nothing. He's not one of them. You're not taking him because he's not one of them. And the seeker just, this is a unique case. We wouldn't have known about this had there not been other signs. And pulls her own staff around, and she holds it in front of you. Would you kindly grab the end of that, dear? Would you?
I'm just
There
looking.
we go. Hold that, thank you. And she thinks for a moment, and her eyes open. They're swirling over with this purple and pink energy, and the stone begins to glow in your hand.
I let go.
And the glow goes away. It's still faint. It's still glowing because you're kind of near it, but not nearly as brightly as it was before. And there's an audible gasp from some of the people behind you.
What's going on?
You know, I wish I could answer that, but for some reason, you are hiding. And you're talking to like this very finely dressed elf. Like they all kind of, she has the same robes that elf has. I'm sorry, that seeker has, but hers seem nicer for some reason, right? They're just a little finer, a little better.
I'm hiding? I'm not hiding.
Yes,
I've always been here.
And now, as you're standing there, as you back up, the princess's amulet glows. All of the little bits of Godstone all around you are now glowing and bathing you in this purple and pink light.
And I just look to the princess. What's going on?
And she looks pretty crestfallen. Again, like you're not that much younger than her. She would be the equivalent of like her 30s, right? Mm-hmm. So you grew up with these people. They are as much your family as your family is. And she looks like she just got punched in the gut. And now the prince does too, because they know what this is. And they explain to you that, you know, you've heard tales of seekers. You've heard tales of, you know, of gods and the demigods and of the demigod war, and how an arrangement was made, right, recently, that the demigods would be collected, but you didn't think that it had anything to do with you. They're saying it does.
Oh. Okay. So, what happens next?
Well, you come with us. We can't set sail until the morning, so take your time. Can't imagine you'll be going anywhere. And gives you a little punch.
I just kind of shrug it off. And I kind of like look almost down at the sand.
Yeah.
And then up at the stars. And then back at her in the boat. And then over to the prince and the princess. I guess I'm going then.
And they just kind of nod like they don't know what to say. I mean, they know you're right. They know there's nothing they can do. And they certainly can't fight Kadar. So, I mean, a lot of effort was put forth to get you. This was, and like, it's a shocking amount of effort just to get you. And Kadar is not, the thing with Kadar is like, they don't like magical people very much. Like they tolerate the gods. What are they going to do? Right. But but
Yeah.
they're not like they're more not you can't be secular when gods are real. Right. You can't, I mean,
Yeah.
they're
More,
there.
they're more
They're more about pride in themselves.
they're more
right?
humanistic. They're more humanistic.
They absolutely are. I mean, they recognize, yes, the gods can do amazing things, but so can we, and we've done amazing things. We've done it without the powers that the gods have. However, they agreed to this as well because it was just chaos and something had to be done. So they just took an entire armada, basically, just to escort these two seekers. Apparently this one seeker, because the other one didn't say a damn word, just to come find you.
I see. And I kind of just look back at the crowd.
And they're all there.
And I think at this point he just kind of falls silent because he doesn't really know what to say.
Yeah, that seems about right. And I would say that the rest of the evening went that way too. Your brothers came to, your grandfather comes to, your mom came to. Your mom's the toughest. Like, she cares, but your mom's got a very special kind of care. She's been through a lot, right? Like, she has been through a lot in her life. And so your mom's like, I'll miss you, but you'll be fine and I'll see you again soon. We're dwarves, we live several hundred years. We will absolutely see each other again soon. And she is confident that's going to happen. Your brother,
Okay, Mom.
Boromir, Bodemir is pretty good. Billos is just taking this really hard. He's trying, but like his shoulders kind of heave when he's sucking back tears. You know what I mean? It's a pretty obvious tell.
Yeah, I give him a big hug and pat him on the back. Like,
breaks. It's like, all right, well, whatever it is, whatever you do, you just kick the shit out of it. All right?
I mean, I'll do my best.
Yeah. They, big huge hugs. Settle down for the night, and the next morning, your family's there. The prince and princess are there. I'd say about half the village is out this early, and you just board this giant ship. You're given your own cabin, and you set off. And I think we're going to hold right there.